The Royal Blue Podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Hello and welcome to the Agenda Podcast with me, Ian Croll, as well as Connor O'Neill. How are you, Connor?
Not too bad, Ian, yourself? You keeping well?
Yeah, not too bad considering what's going on in the world at the moment. This is obviously, I'm sure everyone knows now who's been listening to the Royal Blue Podcast that most of us are working from home at the moment, so we're doing our best to bring you as many podcasts as we can. Obviously, there is no football, but we are trying our utmost to come up with ideas and bring the podcast. So we've sent the shout out for some questions as usual for the Agenda Podcast. As usual, this is the podcast where you, the listeners, send in the questions. You, the listeners, set the agenda. And Connor, we have got some questions. But before we get there, just you are good, yeah? You're working from home yourself?
I am, yeah. Been working from home for over a week, and I'm not going to lie, to be honest, I feel like a lifetime. But needs must in these crazy times that we're currently living in. Obviously, while it's disappointing to some of us, I work from home and do stuff like this. There are people in a lot worse positions than the rest of us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you coping without Premier League football? Nice little break from Everton.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you first get the first bit of break, you think, oh well, was not too bad. But now almost, I think we're all getting a little bit bored. And I think the weekend really hit home, and there wasn't a single ball kicked across the country. So yeah, it's a little bit bored now, I think, and I think we'll all relish the return whenever that may be.
No problem. Well, glad that you're good, and we've got plenty of questions, as I say, to get through. So I will begin with the first one. Regular submitted of questions to the Royal Blue Agenda Podcast. We've got Matthew Barry, who asks, if you could be isolated with one person from Everton's history, who would it be?
I think the most recent one I would pick from, obviously, last couple of years and in times gone by, that's Leighton Baines, wouldn't it? I think he's just an all-round kind of cool guy, very modest, very, laid back, down to earth, and if he brought us a good tie, you'd be able to have a good sing-along and keep yourself entertained.
Yeah, fair enough. Would he, not that Leighton Baines is too boring, I'm not saying that, but would he be a bit too quiet for your liking?
Well, in terms of isolation, I think you need someone to keep you entertained, don't you? So I think if he brings a guitar, you have a sing-along and, a bit of entertainment. I think right now, obviously, he'd probably be the most chilled out person. I think you kind of be laid back and wouldn't be too, getting too stressed or, and climbing the four walls. I think you'd just be nice and chilled out, relaxed.
I think I'm going to go with a couple that are a bit out there. I think to start off with, if you're alone with these people, it will be fine. But I think isolation wise, someone to keep you entertained and keep the party going, I'm going to say Royston Drenthe or Andy van der Meijden. I think those two would definitely be on my list, especially if it was only going to be a week or two. I think I could cope. Any longer than that, I think they'd probably start doing me head in. But we all know Andy van der Meijden's past, and certainly Royston Drenthe's past. He's party animals, and I think that's the way I'm inclined to go, to be honest.
Well, you can have your party animal, have Leighton Baines and his guitar skills entertaining and a nice chill time.
Sounds good. Next question.
The next question from Bridget Bryson asks, have you read Ancelotti's book Quiet Leadership? It explains so much about why Carlo came to us. Any bits that stood out?
Bridget, I can honestly say that I haven't read the book. Have you read it?
I've not read the whole book. I've seen sorts of chapters, little
excerpts from
kind of teasers, teasers from it and stuff. But I've not actually read the whole book just yet.
Well, I definitely haven't read it, but I think it's quite interesting that the book is quiet leadership, and that's the theme of it. And Ancelotti's been deemed to be that type of person, but I don't think he has been that way since he's come to Goodison, has he? I mean, you only have to look at the incident where he for the Man United game where he confronted the ref, if that's what you want to call it. He certainly wasn't being quiet then. He was telling the referee what he thought of him.
No, absolutely. I think the quiet leadership is in terms of more he's not kind of boisterous, you know, and in your face like her Mourinho or Pep Guardiola as well. Or even Jurgen Klopp, for instance, he's a lot more seemingly reserved. But I do think he has got that bit of a dark side also. I think, you know, when you see that Man United game and where, you know, sort of charged on the pitch, he's in the referee's face. I think he has got that streak in him, but I think he's more a reserved character on the whole than kind of in your face, you know, right up and right at them. Like you see, like Mourinho, like that have been over in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And I don't think we've seen the full Carlo Ancelotti yet. Hopefully, going to see more of him over the next couple of months when football returns. Sooner, obviously, the better. But the longer he's with us, that means he's been successful with us, and you definitely get to see more of his personality. I mean, obviously, not an ideal situation to find ourselves in, obviously, with the coronavirus pandemic, but he's certainly been taking his time to, you know, integrate with the fans. He was doing it anyway, but obviously you've seen a couple of things this week where he's been out and about in Crosby, and he's made a couple of phone calls to fans as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's seemingly been like that since day one, hasn't he? I think he's kind of, you know, made sure that he's gotten to know people. You know, I think the fact that he chose to live in Liverpool and where he chose, you know, was a big thing, because although people won't read too much into it, I think you look back at the likes of, you know, Ronald Koeman, for instance, where he lived in Manchester, and it's very much like, you know, it's a job. You know, there was no kind of real sense of, you know, togetherness or, you know, spirit or, you know, let's unite everyone. Whereas Carlo, you know, completely seems the opposite. And I think, you know, he was a bit taken aback, wasn't he, by when he first went around Liverpool, the way the fans greeted him and stuff like that. So I think, you know, he's down to earth, kind of modest guy. And I think you look at the you know, his act over the last couple of days where he has been speaking to people and he's been out and about, and, you know, anyone who you see commenting things or bringing them to light has nothing but good things to say about him. And, you know, that's more testament to the man himself than the football manager.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll definitely have to try and order and read his book. Going to be plenty of time to get through that book over the next couple of weeks.
Now is the perfect time, so if there was a time, I imagine it is around now.
Get into Carlo Ancelotti's mind and see what we can expect over the next couple of months when football does return. Next question. So it comes from Carl Oscar Lieberg, regular submitted of questions. There's a whole host of questions here, all related to different topics, which is good. They're not all about the same thing. So this one goes back a little bit, but Carl asks, Connor, how many years are we going to be rid of all this disastrous post-Martinez high salary players?
I think it's when the contracts end, isn't it? I think there's no other way to look at it. I think once their contract ends, that'll be it. They'll leave the football club. I think it's a little bit harsh to say that the post. I think, you know, obviously post Martinez, it's been, you know, an absolute kind of free fall. I think you look at the players Steve Walsh and Roberto Martinez brought in, the players Marco Silva's brought in. It'll just be a case of, I think, when their contracts come to an end, and that's it. They'll depart. I think unless the club's willing to take a massive hit in terms of what they get in the fee for them, and then you've got to hope that the player then eventually goes and kind of maybe drops their own wages. I think they'll be around to the end of the contract. I think that the best Everton can hope for is potentially getting them out on loan, getting a percentage of the wages off the books, and kind of just running down that contract time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you're spot on. I think we've said it time and time again that, you know, players obviously want to play football, and that's what they're there for. But if you're on mega bucks and you've got a contract for another 2 or 3 years, you're probably not going to turn away from that, and you're probably just going to see it out. Especially when you know, even if you're in your late 20s, you probably see yourself as having at least a good 2 or 3 more years at the top of the game, and you could probably get a decent contract elsewhere. So you're going to see that out, aren't you? Unless it's matched by another team, but that's not going to be the case. Those players are not going to get contracts, you know, to the amount that they got at Everton. And I just think it's the way of the world. Unfortunately, players are looking after themselves, looking after the family. There's an argument, I think, and a case to say, why don't you just go and play football? But sometimes in the modern day world, it's not about that anymore, is it?
No, absolutely. Yeah. You know, things like that. No, a lot always made, isn't it, about, you know, contracts and players' wages and stuff. But You know, then the club didn't have to give them that money, did they? You know, the club could have said, no, we're not giving you that. No, they've been given that money, so I suppose, you know, it's as much, you know, someone, the club's fault as it is, you know, the individuals, isn't it? You know, it's a collective issue. It's not just the players, and, you know, the players are always the first to get hung up to dry, and sometimes rightly so, but, you know, I think in a lot of cases, it's a two-way thing, isn't it? It's not just the players' fault. The club have given them that money, the club have given them that contract, so they got to honour it.
Steve Walsh give him that contract. Actually, not Steve Walsh. He wasn't there when Martinez was there. It was that was Koeman era, wasn't it?
But next question from Paul Carew Rideout asks, "What's the best Everton home kit and the best Everton away kit of the Premier League era?"
Do you know what? I was meant to look. I saw that question before we went on and started recording, and I was meant to look through the kits. I can't think, you know, off the top of my head. Is there anyone that stands out for you that you can remember? Best home kit and Everton away kit, Premier League era. I kind of remember the Danker one with the sponsor. I did like that one.
I thought you were going to say, you know, the salmon pink and navy one there from the late 90s. There was a couple of nice ones under Umbro, wasn't he? When Umbro first got back involved, I think it was a green and black kit. I think it was nice to be the third kit.
Yeah.
That I thought was quite nice, and I actually quite like this year's third kit, the all navy kit. I think that's quite nice. I think it's, you know, quite plain and simple, really. And I think the most on the kit thing, I think the big thing with the kits and the most disappointing side of the kits was probably what Nike. You get everyone had high expectations of something like that. You know, we want to look to business, but I don't think it really lives up to the hype or the expectation. I think everyone's like a little bit disappointed with what they had to offer.
Yeah, I really hated the one-to-one kit, the sponsor on that for some reason. I don't know whether it just brings back bad memories of it. You know,
the Walter Smith days.
Yeah, I don't know. And it was really baggy as well. Do you remember it being really like baggy, and it just used to fall off? I mean, Ferguson at the time, I think Campbell as well, Kevin Campbell, they were big muscly players, but it used to just fall off them. I just used to think, how are you running around in that? Like, I think that's why over the years they've become a bit more refined, the kits, and a bit more sculptured to the players, you know, physique and stuff like that. I think I much prefer a kit that is a bit more tighter.
That's only if you're a player. I don't think if you're the average fan, stroke, you know, maybe dad, I don't think you're open for a tight kit in this day and age. I think you'd be hoping for a little bit more baggy than one of an ultra tight kits. I think you see like the Roma and teams like that, and Lazio have got in Italy.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a good shout that the Roma one. I really, really like the Roma one. Not the colour, but just in terms of the style of it. Okay, next question from Jamie Robinson. With Baines being a monster defensively and Digne being deadly going forward, do you think it's worth trying to play them both, Baines as a left back and Digne as a left wing back? Do you think it would work?
This has been a fair bit, hasn't it? I think, you know, and this has also been said about Digne and Coleman, hasn't it, down the right hand side. I think they're pretty similar as well, but I think ultimately you struggle because, you know, by doing that you're basically going to get rid of your two wingers, aren't you? So you're then playing with, you know, you've got two, you know, like Bernard, Joe Walcott. You know, where would they fit in that team? They're not going to get a look in. You know, it's hard to see him going down that road, and I think if he would have wanted to go down that road, he would have already gone down that road. If you know what I mean, I think. Yeah, it might be worth a try, but I can't see Carlo Ancelotti doing that. I can't see him taking two wingers in order to play two fullbacks with another two fullbacks. I think there's more chance of them potentially maybe playing three at the back with, you know, Digne at maybe at left wing back and Baines at left side centre half, or, you know, Coleman at right side centre half with Digne right wing back. But I can't really see, you know, the two fullbacks playing as, you know, two wingers and then do the two fullbacks playing as fullbacks. I think I just don't see how that maybe the balance of that might be a little bit wrong. And I think, you know, if Carlo Ancelotti was going to play something like that, he would have already done so.
Yeah, I think it's an option, obviously, to try out if we were short in those areas, especially, you know, suspensions and injuries ended up hampering us a little bit. But, you know, I think Baines is he's a left back, isn't he? And Digne is a left back. I think that's where they both play. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but they're both really good at the positions. I suppose unfortunately for Baines that Luca Digne is probably just considered that slightly little bit better. But I wouldn't rule it out as an option. Like I said, if injuries and suspensions were to play a role moving forward, I think it could fill a gap, definitely.
Rick Eckloff asks next, assuming that the rest of the season is played, what are your thoughts on where Everton will finish in the table?
Tough one, isn't it? Because now you've got to take into account like a lot of factors. The main one being player fitness and how fit a player is going to be. I think they're still going through training regimes in the house, through this self-isolation, but they're not going to be match fit. It's almost, starting the season off again and building your match fitness up, which is, it's not ideal whatsoever. I'm just trying to remember, which I think was the Chelsea game, our last official game.
The 4-0 defeat.
Yeah, so obviously that wasn't a great way to sign off and end things, but so much has happened off the field since then, and I can't. It's almost a distant memory that game now. Obviously, most people want to forget it anyway because we got absolutely hammered. But we've got no idea who our next actual fixture is going to be, because despite the Premier League saying they're going to return on the 30th of April, I think that's just the earliest date that they're saying, and it's all going to be behind closed doors. So I'm not entirely sure what's our fixture list for that time. Can you remember?
It is. Is it?
Spurs. Well, it would have been Leicester. No, not Leicester. Sorry, Leicester was.
Sorry, it's Aston Villa. Aston Villa will be our next official Premier League game if football returns on April 30th. We'll just play them on the 2nd of May at Goodison.
So you'd assume that would stay like that, and all the other games would be rearranged. And I think Villa lost their last game as well, didn't he?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
So there's so many factors to take into account. I think we'll probably just finish mid-table again. Probably 10th, maybe 7th if we can pick up a good run of results. But I can't see us making a run for the Champions League now unless something incredible happens.
I just don't think you can judge anything. I don't think we're not still not 100% sure where we're at. I don't think you can make any type of prediction or assumption of what's going to happen in the season. You just don't know, do you? You don't know what way teams are going to come back, etc. And I think until we see a ball in that first game and we can gauge and understanding, that's when I think you'll be able to make a call and a judgment on where we think the Everton season is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the next question is not really a question, but Stephen Grady's basically just said, "This isn't a question, but thanks for the efforts, guys, and the humour. In a strange world where everyone is on the edge, it brings a sense of normality to it." So, yeah, no problem, Stephen. We'll, like I said at the beginning, we're going to try our best to bring as many podcasts to the Royal Blue channel as possible. And before we move on to the next question, I think it's definitely worth, if there's any ideas that anyone's got that you want us to talk about, then let us know. Get in touch, and we'll steal your ideas off you.
Rob Brownlow asks, how would you like the FA to end the season? Finishing by playing behind closed doors, proceed based on current position, i.e. award league to Liverpool, or just call it null and void? I think it's worth noting, just in Rob's question there, that it's not up to the FA how the season will finish. That's up to the Premier League, and I think we pretty much understand the Premier League clubs will have a massive say. So it's not the Football Association who ultimately make the call, it's the FA. But I think the question is still a good one, because I think the one thing about this recent break, and is that there's plenty of opinion, and there's plenty of split opinion on this matter right now, this minute.
No, I agree, and I think from what I've read over the past couple of days, the Premier League have had a meeting, and the clubs have come together and had a meeting, and they're all in unanimous opinion that the season must finish, which I do agree. I absolutely agree. However, I think there's definitely got to be some sort of a cut-off point. I don't think if this is going to carry on for months and months, then you can go into the back end of this year and beyond. There has to be a cut-off point, because you don't know how long this is going to take, and it could start getting very, very messy, especially with international tournaments. Euro 2020 is now being postponed to 2021. The Olympics, they play a football tournament, that's been postponed as well. If we postpone, obviously this season is going to be postponed, and if it carries on up until the back end of next season, it's like, well, when does the new season start? Because then if that clashes with the Euro 2020 and the Olympics, you're going to have serious issues. I think, first of all, finish the season, but definitely there's got to be a cut-off point. And if you can't finish the season, it's got to be made null and void, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to be awarding anyone anything, regardless of what position they're in and how many points clear they are. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know what your thoughts on it, Connor, but it's not just Liverpool who are sweating on this. It's teams who are in the relegation zone. It's teams who are, looking to get promoted. It's teams who are in FA Cup competitions, Champions League competitions. They're all affected. I think it's just quite lucky that Everton are only average, mid-table mediocrity still, and we don't have to worry about these issues.
No, yeah, I think it's spot on. I think my opinion is that the season has to be played to a finish, and I actually think it will be played to a finish. I think though, even if it means they're still playing October, they'll just kind of have the knock-on effects to the league next season. I think it'll be played to a finish. It's got to be played to a finish. You can't just presume and almost just give someone a title because there's so many points clear, or relegate someone because there's so many points adrift. I think that just sets a precedent then for football in the future. And I think it's got to be played to a finish. It's got to be played for, the season's got to be played out, all the games got to be played. And I think, the first chance the Premier League will get, they will start playing games behind closed doors, and they'll come up for a way where my team see, maybe 3 games a week behind closed doors moving forward.
What's your cut-off point though if the 30th of April date doesn't happen and then it's postponed again until May, June? At what point are you saying the season has to, be completed, or it's not going to be completed?
Well, but this is the thing now though, isn't it? Because the way UEFA's gone and what FIFA kind of said is that it is entirely to the league, so they can kind of play until September, October if they wish to. Or I think it's going to knock on effect with the next season. But I suppose what they'll say is, well, right now this is the most important thing is finishing this season, not starting next season, looking at ways of starting next season. It's to finish this season and ensure that the final table is done on a level playing field and in a way that's fair for everyone in the competition.
Someone's going to be annoyed, aren't they? No one's going to, there's going to be some person who's not agreeing with what happens, but I think everyone, regardless of what team you support, is in agreement that the season must be finished. My concern is how long it's going to take to do that, because I don't know when football's going to return, and I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Even behind closed doors, I think behind closed doors you'll be looking at the likes of end of May, June.
I agree, but I think it's the case of watch this space, isn't it, for the next couple of months. I think they'll give a much stronger indication.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good question there, Rob. I think that's on everyone's mind at the moment. So obviously good that we addressed that with a question that's been submitted. Next question from Jake Marley. Who is the most underrated or underappreciated player in the current squad?
That's tough on this, isn't it? Because I think with Charleston, Calvert, I rightly get applauded that they'd be there right now. I think I'd probably say Bernard. I think Bernard's really good technically. I think his work rate's really good. He puts a shift in. I think I know some people's consider he's a little bit lightweight away from home, and he's not maybe used to the kind of defensive mind that you sometimes need when you're going from these big clubs. But I think on the whole, I think technically he's very good. I think he's getting better and better, and I think he probably maybe is a little bit underappreciated by the Goodison faithful.
Yeah, fair shout. I think you kind of mentioned a name there which I was going to mention, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he's definitely got plenty of plaudits over the past couple of weeks, from rightly so, because he's been scoring goals. But in terms of, praise from other people outside the club, and I'm talking like England recognition and stuff like that, he should have been a shoe-in for the Euros with Harry Kane and Rashford out of the picture with injury, and I don't know whether Gareth Southgate was even considering him. But if he carry on scoring goals, then he should have been in with a real shout. And it's just a shame that what's happened, because he could have shown off his talents in Euro 2020 this summer, but doesn't look likely it's going to be the case, and God knows what's going to happen in 2021. Harry Kane and Rashford, highly likely to be back and fit, and you probably just have to watch this space to see if Dominic Calvert-Lewin can carry on his form and his goal scoring return into next season.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question from Jake Marley asks, with Coleman and Baines no longer guaranteed starters, who do you think is the best choice to captain Everton moving forward?
Second question from Jake there. I thought I'd keep it in. We have questions submitted from people every now and again, so I thought 2 questions is fine. I don't think there's anyone, is there really? I think at the amount of times that we've said, there's no real leader in that team. Best choice for captain. I think we've been asked this question before, and I think we've both suggested Jordan Pickford. But I know a lot of people don't like the goalies as captains, and I think we've mentioned, Pickford wise, is he mature enough to be a captain? I think the past couple of weeks has proved that he's not at the moment. I think maybe a couple more seasons under his belt, he might be able to. I can't think off the top of my head, other than maybe Yerry Mina, who's still a bit of an enigma. I don't know what he's like in the dressing room in terms of motivating and looking after players and stuff like that. But I suppose he could be one as a captain moving forward.
I mean, my answer to that question, and given he's just committed his long-term future to cover, will be Mason Holgate. I think he's shown leadership signs over the last couple of months. He's always there when Everton's going something on the pitch. He's always there. I think given he's probably going to be the club for hopefully the next 5 years, maybe possibly even longer, he'd be a bit of a shoo-in for it, because he's someone who you can kind of almost groom into becoming the next captain, and knowing hopefully if he then has like Baines, Coleman and stuff like that, he can become a natural leader on the pitch, and given his position, I think he'd be the perfect option for Everton.
Yeah, fair enough. I like that option. Didn't spring to mind, to be fair, but I don't think anyone thought of Mason Holgate 18 months ago that he would even be in the Everton squad, let alone team. So fair play to him if he does. Is it me? Next question from Mick Williams. Yeah. Pretty straightforward this. Will Moise Kean be an Everton player next season?
Yes, he simply has to be an Everton player next season. They can't spend all that money on him and then go after 1 year. They can't even consider putting him out on loan, in my opinion. The Echo's Everton correspondent, Phil Kirkbride, wrote a bit of a piece on this today, basically saying, the club basically got to work for him and improve him. He's only young, he's only 19, 20, and he's only young. So, yeah, to answer his question in simple form, yes, he should be an Everton player next season. He's got to be an Everton player next season. And hopefully, summer work under Carlo Ancelotti, or a pre-season, a pre-season work under Carlo Ancelotti, will hopefully put him on a good path, and he can really kick on and mature next season.
Yeah, cool. Next question.
From Graham Harper asks, are you confident Everton are on track for Bramley Moore?
Good question about the stadium. You just never know, do you? I think this time, it seems different. It definitely seems different for me. There's always that anxious wait, isn't it, of planning permission, and then obviously a few other various issues that we'll no doubt ultimately encounter. But I think the fact that Mashiri's on board, and money hopefully is going to be in place, and I think, without repeating myself, this time it's going to be different, and I don't think the date that they've given, is it 2023? Is that?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. What are we now? We're in 2020, aren't we? Even coronavirus aside, I think that was optimistic as a date. And even with the coronavirus, pandemic issue now, 2023 probably won't be the date that the stadium opens and you would see an Everton team playing there. You might even look at like another year on top of that, maybe 18 months to 2. I hope it's not the 18 months to 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least another year on top of that, which obviously would be a shame, but I think it was optimistic anyway to go for that date, because you're looking at less than 3 years for that, and I don't think that is going to happen.
Yeah, I think the current climate, the current situation that the country's in, will probably put it back naturally anyway, won't it? I think we're on shutdown, lockdown, whatever you want to call it right now. So I think that'll have an effect, and I think there'll be a backlog, and I think the ground will obviously ultimately be a backlog, but. And I think it's worth to point out that if there wasn't, there was issues, then it'd be incredibly, naive and wrong of fans to blame the club, because this is certainly not their doing, is it? They've had no, that's not their fault that this has happened, and it's just sadly one of them things.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure there will be fans who still blame the club for it, though.
The last question of this week's podcast from Michael Jones, and I think we've already addressed this one, I think, in depth, but he asks, do you think Premier League football will return on April the 30th?
In short, Michael, no, I do not. I think it's very optimistic from the Premier League to suggest that it will return for that date. And I understand why they've done it. They're just trying to be flexible and give themselves a bit of breathing space. But that's obviously the earliest date possible. We're looking at a month away from that now. We're in lockdown for at least another probably 2 to 3 weeks, but maybe beyond. I think the safety of everyone involved in, hosting a football match, whether it's behind closed doors or not, has to be, considered first, and it's obviously paramount. Unfortunately, I don't even think it will return behind closed doors. I think you're looking at a good couple of weeks to months after that, unfortunately.
No, I agree. I think it'll be probably May, June before we see another ball kick in the Premier League, certainly at the end of April.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's the last question, and that is the agenda podcast for this week. As usual, we hopefully will return in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for the shout out for questions, and hopefully you're doing well and staying safe, and this lockdown is not getting everyone too down. And fingers crossed, Premier League football does return soon enough. Connor, nice one. It's been a pleasure. Been different.
And it's certainly been different, but needs must in these crazy times that the world's seen at the minute.
Great, yeah. All right. Well, you've been listening to the Agenda podcast on the Royal Blue channel.
The Royal Blue podcast from the Liverpool Echo.